what do we come to, we have this expectation, right? What we're thinking it should be like, or we have these expectations, and that's a vocabulary word I'm starting to get out of use. It's getting out of my vocabulary. Because we want to be able to exist. God's called us who we are without any extra. Think about that. Without any extra. See, when I was saved, I was talking yesterday to a group of people. When I was saved, I wasn't seeking Jesus. There was no minister there preaching the gospel to me. There wasn't any avenues that they were there. Oh, I got a heritage of believers that I can look to. There was none of that. But yet God found me.
Amen.
Yet God found me. He didn't say, Emmanuel, here's the list of what needs to happen. He says, you and me and you. Abide. We're going to be in John 15. If you were here for Sunday school, you're going to be like, oh, these guys are in the same scriptures. We didn't plan it. Had nothing to do with that. So if you were here this morning, you might want to get part 1 because this is going to be part 2.
Amen. Amen.
God's created you. God knows exactly what you need more than you need yourself. And God knows what you were designed for. Psalms 139 talks about that. For you formed my inward parts. Psalms 139:13. Sorry, you don't have to go there right now. People have their Bibles. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. You knitted me together. I praise you.
Amen.
See, we're looking to praise God by what we believe we can conceptualize, or what we believe we can see God praiseworthy of. Think about that. We want to applaud God when we see things that are praiseworthy. Hold on, you were being formed, you were being knit. I praise you. But before you did anything significant, before you sang a song, before you led any kind of congregational leadership, in any kind of congregational status, if you were a leader at your workplace, if you were a great singer, if you were a great orchestrator, if you were good at organizational skills, if you were a good lawyer, if you were a good whatever, you put good in front of all those things, and only God is good, because before any of that was, He was praiseworthy.
Amen.
Think about that. How much have we made Christianity about us? It was never about us. How many songs do you hear when you go listen to a lot of the lyrics y'all might be hearing right now? And go listen to them. And it's about how great we are and how God has helped us. So God's not worthy? Oh God, you're worthy because you saved me. No, He was worthy before He saved you.
That's right. There you go.
He was faithful even when you were faithless. Think about those things. Before you said a prayer, He was already being faithful. He was already calling you. You were already knit. You were already destined. He had plans and purposes for you. So think about that. How do we actually have effectiveness in all this? Pastor Tommy was talking about being effective. He was talking about results. How do we get there? How do I align my dreams? That's where he was going. You'll get that in 3 weeks if you're here. How do I align my dreams to be in what He's called me to be? And where has that passion gone to?
Come on. That's it.
Where has that passion gone to?
Amen.
We make a big to-do about nothing. We're worried about what kind of status we have. Are we going to have enough money for bills? Are we going to have enough to eat? Are we going to be able to succeed and be successful when we can't even define success? Because success is different for you and it's different for me.
Amen.
Isaac, where's Isaac? Get that thing. God is his handiwork. So look what it says. I praise you for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Hold on. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully is a different word in Hebrew and Greek. It's a reverential fear. It's a place of saying, I have a reverence for how you've made me.
Amen.
All right, let's take that deeper. So when you're downing yourself and you're beating yourself up, when you're saying you're not significant, when you say you're not sufficient, you don't have all the skills and talents and all the things you try to assign value or worth to, what you're actually saying is God didn't fulfill perfection in your life. That's what you're saying. And when you begin to blame outer circumstances, what you're actually saying is God is not strong enough to have those removed because you're not willing to be healed. It's a difference. So psychology, I like psychology because I like to do that. Where's Jamie at? I know she studied a little bit of that stuff. I studied psychology and I'm good at reading people and I'm good at seeing stuff. But even that, it doesn't tell us what we're purposed for, what we're passionate about. And nor can I come to you and you can tell me all the different things that you like to do, but it doesn't show me what you're passionate about. Because that thing that you're supposed to be passionate about is Jesus.
Yeah.
It says, wonderful are your works. My soul knows it well. Hold on. Wonderful are your works. Nothing's not even happening. Wonderful are your works. God's works are wonderful even if you don't understand it.
That's right.
Wisdom is the principal thing, but with all you're getting, get understanding. Because he wants to put you in a position to see that inside yourself, you can't do nothing.
That's right.
My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them. The days that were forming, when as yet there was none of them. Sounds like some poetry, right? What's it actually saying? It says, before any of my days were set, you already knew them, even though I had no understanding of how I was going to fulfill any of those things. We are looking to solve a problem. We are looking to answer why. God is not asking you to answer why. He already knows the why. He's looking to you to get into the what, the how, the when, and the where. He has the why.
Yeah.
It's because of him. It's because of him. It's because of him.
Amen.
So when you go to a place where, why am I doing this? It's because of him.
Amen.
Why am I traveling in spirit and praying? It's because of him. Why I got to serve again today? It's because of him. You either love him or you don't.
Amen.
I don't get up in the morning and say, oh, I got to go to work. These people in this house, wife argued with me yesterday. Why should I go to work? Kids are disobedient. Why should I do anything? My brother's still here, man. Why I got to go to work? Why I got to be the guy that does those things? That's not my attitude. I wake up and I'm like, I get to provide a place where my wife can actually nurture my children.
Amen.
It excites me.
Amen.
It's passionate because of him. Because he's driving it. He's driving it. It's funny, we're like, Jesus, take the wheel when it's convenient. It's going to work in your inconvenience. And here he is, talking, speaking, and you're excited about one day. It's funny, we're so topsy-turvy. One day, oh God, you answered all my prayers, and you're high-fiving, you're running around, you're so good, oh God, you're so good. And the next day, some situation that you weren't planning for hits you, but God knew, and now you're like, oh God, I just missed you. I must be out of my calling. I just must have missed it. Because you're trying to understand why, you don't understand the heartbeat of heaven. Heaven has a heartbeat. And it's saying, Jesus. Jesus. Worthy is the Lamb. Jesus. Faithful are you, Jesus. Eternal God, Jesus. They're screaming around, holy, holy, holy. Think about that. They're running around, holy, 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 these cherubim with these 4 heads, 6 wings. I start telling it to my little boys, and they're like, whoa, that's scary. And I'm like, no, that's incredible. And here they are, singing holy, holy, holy. And you're still trying to figure out why. You don't even know why you were born yet. You're trying to understand the mysteries of heaven. You got to get out of the trying to be the detective, because by the time you got something figured out, it's changing on you. I've noticed anytime I start getting in a routine, God changes it. As soon as I feel in a place where it's under control, Rich, it's under control. I know what I'm doing here. If we're striking on all cylinders, you could ask my wife, every single time. We're like, it changes. So there has to be some enjoyment in it. The enjoyment in the journey. See all this stuff back here, right? So the message is titled, What? I gotta look it up. I gave it to Kenny earlier. I just want to make sure I say it the same way this time. What to anticipate as I abide in Christ. What to anticipate. I didn't say what to expect. What to anticipate. So when you start anticipating who God is, you're anticipating His deity. You're anticipating that He is the God of salvation. You're anticipating that He is the God of victory. I was talking to Pastor Tommy earlier. All the names of God, El Shaddai, Elohim, Adonai. You're anticipating this is who God is.
Amen.
I don't get to invoke when God does something.
That's it. Amen.
I don't get to say, oh Lord, you just need to do it now. But we like that. We still like to be in control. Being in control means you're not abiding. Hear me now. Being in control means you're not abiding. So you're still controlling your life, just know that you're not abiding. Every single time you step in to do your own thing, you step in to try to take it over and do it by yourself, you're not abiding. You're stepping out of Christ. Let's go to 15. John 15. It goes, I am the true vine. We know some of those. Let me give you some background. In 13, John 13, they're getting ready to do the Passover. This is the Pesach. They're ready to get into the Passover. It was a celebration of a mindset of deliverance that had come upon the people. That helmet of salvation that you read in Ephesians is actually translated Hebraically, a mindset of deliverance. So you're not putting on some helmet of salvation. I love when we get around here and we're like, oh, get all the armor of God on. How many messages have you heard about the armor of God? But we think of it as a literal armor. So here we are putting on our helmet. We got it snug. It looks good. We've tied it up because usually it's a Roman helmet we got. The Roman big shield. Remember, Jesus teaches us things through pictures so we can see what it means spiritually. So he was telling Nicodemus, if I'm teaching you practical stuff, then I'm trying to show you pictures, how are you going to understand the heavenly things when I start really revealing things to you? And how are you going to have real application? So when you put on that helmet of salvation, you're actually putting on the mindset of deliverance. But it's not a mindset of deliverance, I think I'm delivered. You either are delivered or you're not. You're either going to walk in it or not. It's about abiding. You're either going to say, I'm delivered, and you start walking it out, and things are going to transform. Things are going to start happening. Or you're going to say, well, I think God changed me, but let me go back to what I used to do. Now you're back in your own ways. Now you're back, because we have a default in the flesh. Our mind, our soul we're not spiritual and all fleshly. Once you've been born again, you have a new spirit. You don't have a sin nature. But because your mind has been so messed up, your mind has to be renewed. You're not being transformed. And therefore, if your mind is not transformed, you default to do exactly what you did back when you were still sinning. when you were in your sin nature. So when I blow up on my wife and we get in arguments, I default to a mindset that is not living in redemption. When I am frustrated and out of my element, thinking it's in my power, my control, I am defaulting to an old mindset. Think about that when you're dealing with struggles in your own life right now. I'm being honest about mine. Think about how many times you default daily to that old mindset. Well, I'll just get it done because this is what I got to do. Well, ain't nobody going to help me anyway. Well, nobody loves me. Nobody cares. No one's called me in like 10 days. I text them and they left me on red. And I know it too. It was a good Bible question. I was talking about the Bible. I wasn't even trying to get hollered at. Anyway, that's for young people. Think about that. Why are we defaulting to that? Because we're not abiding. So he starts talking about, so Jesus could have talked about anything. Pastor Tom was leading up to this. Jesus could have talked about anything. He's about to go to the cross. He talks about the disciples being cleansed. He talks to all 12. It's funny. Would you wash Judas's feet? Jesus did. You're so busy trying to find out your Judas that you don't serve him. Jesus did. Some of us are saying, oh, my haters, my haters. I don't know what you're talking about. My haters this, my haters that. They just don't like me. You're supposed to serve them. I don't care if they don't like you. Jesus knew Judas was going to give him. And he still washed his feet. Just because you have an experience with God, I don't want to hear that. Just because you have an experience with God doesn't mean you continue to abide. Just because you visited my house, you don't live there. Just because I visited your house, I don't live there. I have to abide. I have to live. I have to be. I have to have my understanding in there. And that's what happens. We show up with God, great worship service, and go home and do what we were doing.
Come on.
Because it's abiding at convenience. Sean's getting some revelation on convenience and inconvenience. God's messing them up. Here's what we have to talk. Here's what we're talking about. So Jesus is talking about 16 and 17 actually talk about us and him and us, and he starts breaking that down, what that's going to translate to in the kingdom coming. But he stops and starts talking about, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. He already had foretold Peter's denial. And he's keeping it real with everybody. He's being honest. Peter, you're going to die on me. No, I'm not. God's telling you, you're going to mess up. No, I'm not. You fall over head first. Get rid of that. You ever see some of those movies where they have I think it was on one Seinfeld movie, he did a Seinfeld show, and he's on the bike, and he doesn't know how to ride a bike. No, it wasn't Seinfeld, it was Frasier. It was Frasier. If you go look at Frasier, who's seen Frasier? Old school throwback for some of y'all, right? Y'all remember when he got on a bike? And every time it didn't matter what he did, he was like, I don't want to hit it, I don't want to hit it. And he'd hit the tree, he'd hit the mailbox, he didn't know how to drive that bike. That's us in our fellowship with Jesus. We're like, I want to buy, Lord. And we're hitting sin left and right. We're being angry, we're being offended. I don't want to be offended. Oh, I just offended somebody. I'm not going to take offense. They offended me. Oh, I'm going to serve God wholeheartedly. I ain't got time today. Oh, I'm going to have a great Bible study. I didn't even show up. I'm hungry for Jesus. I'm about to read the Word I haven't read in 3 weeks. And here we are. And then we come to Sunday service. How you doing, Pastor? How you doing, brother? Oh, God's good. I got scars, got battle scars all cut up. I'm offended. I got weights and shackles on me. Because I'm not walking in that mindset of deliverance because I was hoping. And even still, you're still promoting you. I'm good. I'm great. So here Jesus starts talking about it. He goes, He talks about let not your hearts be troubled. He goes in there. They're even feeling. Jesus is saying, I'm going to where I go when I send you the Comforter or the Counselor, the wonderful Counselor, the Holy Spirit. He's coming. And they're like, we don't want the Holy Spirit. We want you. Why are you leaving? They're offended. Jesus is telling them, it's better if I go. Think about that. What kind of common sense is that?
Come on.
I come to you and say, here's a better way to do it. It's better if I do this. And you're like, no, I want the other way. How many of us are going to listen to that type of advice? But we do that. We're like, Lord, change this. I don't want to really change. I told you to change the circumstance, not to change me.
Come on. Come on.
I'm asking you to change the circumstance. Don't change me. It doesn't work that way. The circumstances only changes when you begin to change. So here it goes. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. I don't know how I'm going to get this over here. My Father is the vine dresser. Look at this. I am the true vine, Jesus, and my Father is the vine dresser. Look at these plants. Around, you see some dead in them. I just bought this at Home Depot today. Yep, there's dead in it. A little suspect. Don't look right. Look like this one could have been fuller. This one looks suspect for real. Y'all see it? I want to take y'all around. Let me show y'all. Can somebody identify what's wrong with this? Let's see if the kids can first. I say kids, but y'all youngest. You know what I'm saying? Huh? What is? Well, say it again now. Say it loud. That's how some of y'all walking around in Jesus. Y'all got fake stuff and y'all trying to act like it's real. You got fake fruit. Like, I'm good, Lord. I'm good. And this is what that looks like. Everybody can tell but you. And you smell it. You can smell it. You can see the difference. You can feel it. You can tell by the texture. This one looked all dusty. I found it in the back. Fruit don't even look right. It's all good. At least it's getting some kind of cleanness. This is what some of y'all look like. Jesus is right here saying, y'all gotta abide. And you're like, look, Lord, I got flowers. I've been praying, Pastor Tommy. I don't come to your prayer service because I've been praying, brother. Look at this fruit. I don't need no Bible study teaching, brother. I'll read on my own. I ain't going to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oh, I ain't coming to Sunday school, man. I got fruit. Check me out. You can fool the world. You can't fool the real. And you can only fool yourself for so long. And y'all all could tell that was fake from far away, right? Think about that. You couldn't tell? Oh, you suspect. We're praying for you. So here you are. Can these plants do anything? No. They can't do anything right now. I understand that, but can't right now. Can they do anything? So they have to be grounded? They have to be planted? Is that what you're telling me? Before you can do anything, you have to know what these plants can do. So this plant, it needs medium water. It needs full sun, 6 to 8 hours. You got to keep above 50 degrees. The moment it goes below 50 degrees, it's going to die. This is a Mammy Croton. That's a Maui Exor. This one, it needs highlight, 3 to 4 hours of indirect sunlight. Temperature, keep above 50 degrees, medium water. So the water's the same, the temperature's the same, but the sunlight's different. This little thing right here, it's a juniper persani. Look at it, it's a ground cover. It's totally different than these. These are ornamental plants. This will cover large areas of ground as they begin to grow. What's that got to do with abide? That has everything to do with abide. God says He is planting you. You all have different specifications. You have all been designed differently. And for me to take the same thing that I do with Daniel to come to Richard would be irrelevant. There's going to be some commonalities. He needs some light. He needs to be planted. He needs some fertilizer. But sometimes we can do too much or too less. We all have been designed by God. They can't do anything on themselves. The Lord chooses where they get planted. Not us.
Amen.
I cut this. I'm going to go into the scriptures now and start preaching. I cut this. This is agribilia. I hate this plant. It's nasty, ugly looking. If y'all see these are ugly. You got shrubs like this, I'm going to tell you, as a horticulturist, I do not recommend it. It is ugly. Okay, you got to do a lot of trimming for no reason. It's like painting an ugly picture. You know the picture's ugly and then you go paint it anyway. It's like that. This is a mammy croton. This is one that's been pruned. This is a mammy croton as well. This is fresh, brand new. It's going to grow. This is a mammy croton. Well, it's bigger. See that bigger? Some of us are looking like this, thinking we look fresh like this. You all dried up, shriveled up. You ain't been praying. You're very familiar with the Spirit of God. You have no hunger. You lost unity. You lost passion. This is Judas.
Come on.
That's the mentality of Judas. If you remember, I preached on that, the Judas mentality. If you didn't hear that sermon, ask Kenny for it. I'm not here to be polite or super nice. I'm here to be real with you.
Amen.
Because everybody else that you can go to YouTube, you can hear a good YouTube sermon, he's going to preach you happy after this, okay? So you can go to him and go get him to preach you happy. Go get your boost, go get your vitamins. I'm just keeping it real, I'm being honest. This is the difference. So we want to get grown, we want growth, but we don't want to go through the pruning process. We don't want to be transformed. Look what it says. Every branch of me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes. So if I want this plant to look a certain way, this plant does not dictate how I'm going to change it. I am the master vine dresser. I am the horticulturist. I am going to shape it. In the same way, you are that plant. Jesus is your master. Jesus is your God. You don't get to choose how he's going to shape you. You don't get to choose how he's going to mold you. But then why do we act like we do? I was telling my wife the other day about the ebbs and flows of life. You ever see the ebbs and flows of life? Mountains and valleys, mountains and valleys, mountains and valleys. Who's been there, right? Some days you're feeling like you're on the mountaintop. Other days you're in the valley. Seasons. Up and down, up and down. That's how you know you have a heartbeat. Because if that thing goes flat, you've been flatlined. You're no longer living. So the master vine dresser knows what you need. That he may bear more fruit. How many of us are getting so stored up in the Word? We're so much in the Word, and it's not a diss, it's a good thing. You're in the Word, and you're praying. You're doing all the necessary things that you believe to abide in Christ, but yet no one actually eats of your fruit. What happens to that fruit? It rots. What'd you say? It dies. Who's ever felt like you've been on passion, I have a fruit of conviction. I have a fruit of, I'm on fire. And all of a sudden, that thing starts dying. From one day to the next, 1 week to the next. Well, I used to be passionate about evangelism, and now I'm not. That fruit, no one ate of that fruit. No one's eating of that fruit. So here you are, a big tree. Let's say you've been growing and you're mature and you're producing a lot of fruit. Who's eating off it? Who's getting fed off it? Because the master knows, and he's coming and he says, hold on. I'm going to get it so more fruit can come. Sometimes you have to get in a position to where he starts trimming. Because he wants you to be shaped a certain way. He wants you to look a certain way. He's cleaning your ground. He's looking to see what's out there, what kind of diseases are there. He's checking to make sure you can properly plant it. Keep going, next scripture. Verse 3. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Hold on, this connects straight to what he was talking about in 13. See, Jesus didn't all of a sudden forget what he was just teaching his guys, and it's a new chapter, so it's a whole new subject. He was still talking about being clean. You're already clean by the word that he spoke to you. But as that process begins, transformation needs to continue to happen.
Amen.
We were speaking last night, and one of the things that was brought up was like, and Pastor Tommy brought it up last week, and it was actually brought up last night. That, who remembers when you first got saved and that fire was just, oh, you want to tell everybody about Jesus.
Come on.
And I was asked last night, why does that thing die? Because you don't use it, and then it doesn't get pruned.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why you're less passionate than you were a year ago. That's why you're less hungry than you were a year ago. That's why you desire less and less. You settle for mediocrity. It's okay. I'm good enough. Next one. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. As beautiful as this little lamb is, it's not, it's going to turn like this. It's been pruned. When the Lord takes us through a pruning process, and I believe this is what's happened, JoJo's going to continue it. The church, the old church, burned down. To some, I told that before, that was something that was there for a lot of people that they invested into. God turned a new thing. We can't remember the old or what used to be, because this is what it looks like. What do you think people want to look at? Want to look at this?
Come on.
You want to look at this?
Come on.
Who's excited about the new potential of this? It's time that we get grounded. It's time that you know exactly what you're called to do. Your calling is your assignment. It's what you're passionate about. No one can take that, and no one can define that for you. The only way you're going to find out is if you abide in Him.
Try.
The only way you're going to find out is if you're close to Jesus in His heart. The only way you're going to understand those things that I'm even saying to you now, as you get closer to Jesus, because apart from me, you can do nothing. Next verse. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers. He's talking about Judas. God had washed his feet, but in his heart, he purposed to do otherwise already. His mentality was to do something else. And the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. Next one. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. Pastor Tom was talking about getting closer as friends. Next verse. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. Everything comes in a season.
Yeah.
If I plant this plant outside, as long as it doesn't get below 50 degrees, it should be fine. I'm going to have to cut and prune it depending on what I want it to be designed, how I want this plant to look. If I cut it from the sides, if I cut a plant from the sides, this is for some of you gardeners out there, you're like, why is my plant always going up? If you just cut the sides, all your plant's going to do is grow up. It's not going to be full in. If I cut this plant out the top, it's going to fill out. Picture, right? Look at the cross. If you look at the sides, you had people, when Jesus was on that cross, you had people on each side. You had sinners, and you had someone who was getting saved. When you look at the top to bottom, you're seeing heaven and you're seeing earth. You're seeing a picture of every single thing that's there. See, the cross is the picture of the whole universe. There's scientists out there. If you're a very scientific mind, the whole universe is grafted according to this cross. It stands in the middle of heaven and earth. It stands in the middle of damnation and redemption.
Amen.
It doesn't change. It's unchanging. The cross is unchanging.
Amen.
There is no salvation. You have to go through the cross. Pick up your cross and follow me.
That's right.
And then that opens up the supernatural. So where am I? What am I lacking in my life? Am I lacking to move more out? Well, then I need to take more time. I got to get trimmed. I need to be brought back down. Humility needs to be instilled. When I'm not willing to start ministering to people, humility needs to be instilled. That's what Sean was talking about last night. They said, humility is to come. I need to fulfill the call of God on my life. I need to fulfill the mission that He sent me for. And humility has to be instilled. That when I'm not touching heaven, when I don't hear God, I have to cut all these other things out and I need to get closer to Jesus. When that need to happen, I'm cutting every outlet off. I'm cutting different sermons. I'm cutting different people. And I'm saying I'm getting closer to Jesus.
Come on. Come on.
I'm finding my secret time. Do you see how Jesus operated?
Yeah.
He knew what He needed when He needed it. I need intimacy right now. Now I need to do outreach. I need intimacy right now. Now I need to fulfill my call. I need time with the Father so I can have a continued perspective of heaven and earth, damnation and redemption. That's what we need every single day. Because the fruit people are going to eat of are from you. You're a representation of Christ.
That's right. Amen.
You are a living epistle. You are the living scroll that people are able to read day by day. And they're able to see you. What page are they on? And when they come to your fruit, when they come to you, the vineyard that the Lord has placed inside of you, what are they going to find? Will they find weeds? When you choose to be your own gardener, they will. When you choose to do things on your own, they will. This is us doing it ourselves. My plant's done. The price that was paid for it is irrelevant. Because this is how it was valued. I don't know if y'all heard it.
Come on.
The price that was paid was irrelevant because this is how it was valued. The redemption Jesus has paid for your life. That's what it's worth to you. Because when you do life on your own, that's what you're doing every single day. And you wonder why you're not fruitful.
Come on. Come on.
You wonder why you're not transforming. You wonder why you don't have hunger anymore. You wonder why you lost passion.
Come on.
You wonder why you can't trust God. That's why. Oh. But we wouldn't be so consumed with ourselves and doing it on our own. How fruitful we would be to be in the Master's hand. To be in the Master's hand. Next one. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Are you aware of that love? I'm not just talking about right now. Are you aware of that love? When you're going through the hardships that you go through. Are you aware of that love? When you're trying to raise your child on your own. Are you aware of that love? You feel like everything's against you. Are you aware of that? Abide in my love. When you don't have it figured out. When you don't know what the next decision is. When it's not forecasted, when it's not determined, this is the next step. What do? Do you abide? That's scripture. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. The cross again. Damnation, redemption, heaven and earth. All seen. See, it's not enough to say, well, I'm abiding in this love, brother. That's easy to say, right? I read this morning, I'm abiding in this love. There's fruit. And you could actually score keep. Are you really abiding in love? You'll be able to answer those. Timothy talked about that. Timothy talked about that. How do you know a church is being fruitful? How do you know a church is being productive? How do you know? Most of us would say, well, we need to have numbers, we need to have a better budget, we need to have all blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at the maturity of the people. I'm able to go into a congregation. How do I know a church is being productive? Going into a congregation and being able to see the maturity of the people. And what you're looking at, you're not judging them off of, do I like them or do I dislike them? Do I like their personality or do I don't like their personality? Do I like how they do things or do I disagree on how they do things? It has nothing to do with that.
Amen.
It has to do with, is there fruit? Can I come here and eat? Can I go to different brothers and sisters and can I eat the fruit of their labor? And their labor is, think about this. The labor that you have before you is due by. This plant is doing a whole lot of nothing. This plant has made it from Home Depot to this back corner, back to the front top, been dancing around the whole sanctuary, had fake fruit taken out of it. It ain't done a thing. It has not walked on its own. It didn't say, I'm doing a good job, huh, guys? It's just abiding. It's just chilling. It's in the Master's hands. That's all the Lord's asking of you. The hardest thing to do is to say, this life is not mine. You know what we'd rather say? Y'all really want to know? Y'all, we got steel toes on, because this one's going to hurt. Less of me, more of you. Less of me, more of you. Jesus did decides things differently. When he showed up, he says, you're either for me or against me. There wasn't the rich young ruler. Hey, how do I be a disciple? Rich young ruler asked Jesus, how do I become a disciple? Rich young ruler says, he asked Jesus, and Jesus said, hey, sell everything you have, then come get with me. You can follow me. The man was offered an apostleship, being taught under Jesus. And that was too hard for him. The hardest thing we have to do is the easiest thing we have to do. Let's let go. That's why the anointing, when we come back up, I want to pray. I let go. Heaven is open and I'm diving in. We are surging at that point. Because God was speaking something already today. God was speaking something already. From the moment that we stepped here, the moment I came on this campus, I was already hearing the same message that the Lord is speaking to this body of Christ. And He's talking about abiding. He's talking about saying, letting go. Not this, I'll do it when I'll do it incrementally, Lord. Yeah, baby steps, Lord. You know how that baby steps, Lord. Take me slow. Take me slow. A baby learns, but a parent is encouraging that growth. The way you talk to a baby, right? You go that nee boo-boo and all that stuff, the baby's talking all funny to you. I feel violent. What do you say? He's 5. He's 10 years old. Oh, like, huh? I'm going to make some groceries. You should have heard Don back in the day. I'm sorry, sir, I got to do it. He said some stuff, and I'm like, and he meant his intentions were well. But it's how we're raised, what we're taught, how we love, how we learn, how we live. That matters. And it's where we're abiding. It's not just showing up Sunday. It's not just showing up. It's an everyday lifestyle for each and every one of us.
Amen.
As we're abiding, saying, God, this day is yours. God, this day is yours. These decisions are yours. Where do you want me to be planted, Lord? Where do you want me to be grounded? Where do you want me to be grounded? And Father, can I be faithful and fruitful in all things? So we ask that, Lord, make me fruitful. We ask that, Lord, make me fruitful. How many of us have spoken and prayed those prayers? Lord, I want to be fruitful. I want to help build your kingdom. Lord, I want to do something great for you. We're praying the right prayers, but our position is still in ourselves. We're still trying to control how that goes. Lord, I will do X, Y, and Z if you do A, B, and C. Then I know it's you. It doesn't work that way. And that's the realest lesson I've learned in the past 5 years. It doesn't work on my timing. It works in His. I get the worship team. I get the prayer teams. The Lord wants to do something significant in this house. Yes, Lord, I'll speak for it. Where we're going as a local body, it's going to look different. If God's called you here, if God has called you to be here, and God has put it in your heart to be here in this season, I'm telling you right now, it's going to look different. The Lord's about to do something mighty. And when I say that, I'm not talking cliche. He's about to start elevating ministers, men and women of God. He's going to start getting them and positioning them to go help other local bodies. Not to just be here.
Amen.
It's time that we get grounded in the Word of God and in His truth. And it's time that we start deriving our worth from the rivers of the living water. As we're taking up those rivers, and those rivers are starting to flow out of our belly, will flow rivers of living water. The supernatural is going to start to flow out. The power of God is going to start to be displayed. All the church as usual is going to be done. I'm not against what anyone's doing, but I'm saying at the same time, if they are not living according to the standards of God, not my standards. I did not come here and preach my opinion. I'm telling you what the Word says. And I'm giving you pictures to really understand what that actually means. And where the Lord is doing at this local body is to launch out ministries. You believe you're called, we're going to train you. That's what we're going to do. How to make you effective. I'm teaching on it right now. See, because we can get so caught up in the way we used to do things that we think that's the only way to get it done. And God is transforming all that. God is redefining even what New Testament looked like. And He's giving it a new name. You'll see it. And as all these things start coming forth, ask yourself, Lord, as I abide in you, have your way. As I abide in you, have your way.